Good afternoon, everyone. This is Business Spotlight, and I am your host, Dani Reaves. Thank you for joining us today. It is a storm outside, so I hope you are in front of your computer, your laptop, your phone, and because today you're going to get some valuable information from none other than one of Pennsylvania's and New Jersey's top personal injury attorney today, Mr. Samuel Anyan. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Perfect. Absolutely. Guys, as you know, in Business Spotlight, I ask that you do the following. Share this, like this, tag individuals, because maybe you may not need his services right now, but I'm sure someone on your page could potentially need him. We're going to pretty much find out, what is a personal injury attorney? What do they do? Do I need one? And why did he choose this law? I'm sure in the last few weeks you have been seeing a lot of posts and great facts that he has been posting up, or I've been posting up on his behalf. So today we're going to dig in a little bit to find out, what does a personal injury attorney do? So let's get started. Again, thank you for allowing me to sit with you and talk with you. I'm very interested. You know, one of the things that I find interesting is that I thought I knew what a personal injury attorney did, but with the information that you've supplied, I realized that I thought I knew, but I didn't know. Right. Why did you choose to practice this type of law?
Right. Well, my family and I, unfortunately, were the victims of nursing home neglect. My great-grandmother was about 95 years old, and she was had bed sores and all kinds of things. She died. She had her hips broken.
Oh, wow.
And she was neglected probably for about 2 or 3 weeks before they realized it, and that was after she had passed. So the hurt and the pain that my family felt at that moment, I knew I wanted to help people who had been in similar situations.
Wow.
So that's why I chose this particular area of law. And in general, personal injury lawyers, what do they do?
Yeah.
Personal injury lawyers help those who have been injured or killed, or a family member killed due to someone else's negligence. Either someone should have done something that they did not do, or they neglected to do something that they knew they should have done.
And what areas do you personally practice?
I practice in the whole gamut of personal injury. That's medical malpractice.
Okay.
So for doctors' care falls below the standard of care in the industry, I would represent you. I also practice nursing home neglect, obviously. If those who are providing care for the elderly, if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, I represent families in those situations as well. The most common form of personal injury is car accidents, slip and falls.
Yes.
I represent people who are involved in that. Every person in the United States is probably involved in a car accident at least once every 7 years or so. So it's important that you get to know a personal injury attorney. You might find that you're the victim of a car crash, or you're walking down the street and there's a crack in the sidewalk, or you're walking in the grocery store and there's an issue with a banana on the floor or water, and you slip and fall and you hurt yourself. People can hurt themselves pretty badly. It can disrupt your work, your capacity to work. It can disrupt your family life, your marital life, your social life. And for these things, the law provides a remedy for those who, an accident alters their life and their well-being.
So for those that are just joining us, define what a personal injury attorney does. So, because I think maybe a lot of them don't feel like they need a personal injury attorney.
Right.
So define what that is, just so that the audience can know.
A personal injury attorney is quite simply a lawyer who's licensed in whatever state, who represents your interest if you specifically are injured, whether it's a mild injury or a very serious injury, who represents your interest in a court of law, who represents your interest in a claim against an insurance company, who represents your interest dealing with your employer or the workplace. A personal injury attorney helps you if you suffer an injury due to no fault of your own, and that's the key thing. It cannot be your fault.
It cannot be your fault.
Correct.
Okay. So when looking for a personal injury attorney, what should people ask? What should people look for?
Right.
If they just so they know. And these are for people because we know that you are you do Pennsylvania and New Jersey.
Correct.
But what should they ask for? What should they look for in a personal injury attorney?
Yeah, you want to shop for an attorney the same way you would look for a doctor.
Okay.
If you're having a problem with your heart, you want a cardiologist. If you're having a problem with your foot or your ankle, you want a podiatrist. You want someone whose expertise is in the area in which you need help. You don't necessarily want someone who practices primarily wills and estate law to represent you in a car accident. Why? Because the law can be very nuanced.
Yeah.
And so you want someone who does this type of law day in and day out.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. I only do personal injury. I don't do your wills. I won't represent you in a criminal matter. I won't represent you in bankruptcy. You have to be injured or a loved one has to be killed for me to represent.
For you to represent you. Yeah. How many cases have you done in your year? And first of all, how long have you been doing personal injury attorney? And how many cases, I guess, if you could?
Well, I've been a practicing attorney for about 13 years.
Okay.
I've represented individuals actually on both sides. I first started out representing insurance companies. So I would actually defend those who harmed others. I was actually defend negligent people. So that helps me because I understand the mindset of the insurance company.
Yes.
So how many cases in 13 years? I've had thousands.
Yeah,
hundreds of thousands of cases.
I found very impressive is your resume. You have been in Super Lawyers, nominated for Pennsylvania Associates for Justice, Philadelphia Trial Lawyers Association, the Best Lawyers of America, and the Multi-Million-Dollar Advocates Forum. That's impressive. What are the qualifications in order for you to even receive those?
We'll work from we'll work backwards. Multi-Million-Dollar Advocates Forum is a elite group of attorneys who have obtained either verdicts or settlements in the multi-million-dollar range. And what this means is that they have done it more than once, and it is more than $1 million. So this would be attorneys who have obtained for their clients or families of loved ones multi-million-dollar settlements or verdicts on multiple occasions. The Multi-Million-Dollar Advocate Forum.
Okay. I love it. I love it. We actually have a question from someone. She said, the fan in my kitchen fell on my head in September. I've contacted Legal Shield and they have been instructing me. My landlord is trying to evict me as we speak. I'm at a crossroads. Is that someone that you could potentially help? Is that your area of expertise?
Yes. Ma'am, those who rent out their homes to others have certain implied promises that they've made. Your landlord made a promise to you that he or she would provide you a safe environment for you to live in exchange for rental income that they're receiving or rental payments that you're making. The fact that this fan fell on you, if we can prove that this fan was placed in negligently, or we can prove that the landlord knew or should have known that there was a problem with the fan and thus falling on your head and injuring you, you have a claim. And please contact me. We can discuss that further.
Absolutely. And if you can give your contact information, of course, we'll leave it on the post. But how can people get in contact with you if they want to do a free consultation?
Sure, free consultation. Please call me at 215-635-6901.
I love it. I love it. Do you have a contingency fee?
All personal injury cases work on contingency fee. Our fee is 1/3 of your recovery.
And what if I obtained your services and for some reason we lost the case? Do I have to pay for all of the case costs and all of that that's involved?
There is absolutely no fee unless we win.
Unless you win?
Yeah.
Okay.
No fee whatsoever. If we, in the unfortunate and seldom, I absolutely never case that we lose. There's no fee. There's no fee to you at all.
So it's a win-win situation. If you find yourself potentially needing his services, contact him. Free consultation. He can tell you whether or not he can move forward with your case or not. And if for some reason it doesn't go through, there's no harm on your part. The viewers have seen my recent post on the steps that you should take if they find themselves a victim of a car accident. Do you mind walking us through those steps? I think some of us may think we know, but what are the steps the minute that we get into an accident? What should we do?
Yeah. The minute you find yourself the victim of a motor vehicle accident, the first thing you should do is examine yourself. check yourself from head to toe. Ensure that you are stable and that you are okay. The next thing you should do is ensure that your passengers are okay. Ask if they're able to speak, if they're okay, if there's any part of their body hurting. Assess the well-being of everyone in your car. The second thing you want to do is to assess whether your vehicle is drivable or whether you are impeding traffic. If you're at some instances, if the impact is hard enough, you could be in danger if you don't turn off the ignition. So you want to assess your vehicle, maybe turn off the ignition, and assess whether you're in the middle of traffic. If you are able to drive the car, move to the side of the road. The third thing you want to do is assess any damages done to your car and to anyone else involved in the accident. Ensure that anyone else who was involved in the accident is okay and you were able to speak about the accident intelligibly. The next thing you should do is exchange information with the person that struck you or the vehicles that are involved in the accident. You want to do that in a calm manner. Accidents can be upsetting. There can be blame made on both parties. There's road rage that's involved. You want to de-escalate any situation and understand that the authorities or attorneys will handle the case from there. You don't have to argue with the person. You know what you did and did not do. You don't need to argue with the other person. If medical attention is necessary, you want to call an ambulance if you're able to do so. If you're not able to do so, you need to call for help or ask for someone to call an ambulance. The next thing you want to do, if possible, if you're able to do that after you have exchanged information and assessed whether anyone was injured, you want to take pictures of the scene, take pictures of your car. You want to also take pictures of the license plate of the person that struck you, pictures of their financial responsibility card, which is their insurance card. You want to take a photograph of their tag or their registration. Make sure you have all the information that you need. If this is a disputed accident, meaning both parties are claiming that they both had the green light or, hey, you didn't stop at the stop sign. If there's any witnesses, those who may have stopped and asked you if you were okay, get their name and information. In Philadelphia specifically, police officers do not come to the scene of accidents unless they're major catastrophes. They don't really, so you have to self-report these accidents. You also have to take all the information you're going to need. You're always going to need the license tag number, the person who's driving, their name and information, and their registration, and their insurance card. You must get this information. It's vital for your recovery, for your pain and suffering, and also recovery for your damages to your vehicle. You want to make sure you have that info.
Great information. Great information. When did it stop where police were not to come to accidents? It seemed like that happened within a few years.
Yeah, this was an ordinance that City Council passed with advice from the mayor and the chief of police, where Philadelphia police were spending too much time responding to car accidents and not enough time enforcing and protecting society and the community. So they decided that for routine car accidents, fender benders, non-catastrophic type accidents, that citizens would have to self-report. That has caused problems because people don't understand that they need to get as much information from the other parties as possible. So for all the viewers out there, please do yourself a favor. If you're involved in a car accident, get as much information as you can. Take pictures if you're able to do so. If you're hurt, the first order of business is to get medical attention.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great information. We actually have a question. How long would an accident case normally last? If you were to take a case on, does it depend? On average, how long should it last?
Right. Every case is different. In a court of law, the law says we have 2 years before we even have to file a lawsuit, meaning that we don't have to file a lawsuit in the courts of Pennsylvania or New Jersey for 24 months. And why is that? Because everyone's body is different. Your response to an injury will be different than someone else's response.
Right.
And the law allows for you to get as much treatment as necessary before you have to declare your damages, how much the case may be worth, the extent of your long-term injuries. So typically I've seen routine car accidents may last anywhere from 4 months to 9 months, as much as a year. The more injured someone is, I have people who treat for over a year and a half. and we don't file a lawsuit until almost the 2-year anniversary because they've had that extensive of injuries and damages, lost time from work, loss of their earning capacity, and those things take time to prove that, hey, because of this accident, I'm not able to work anymore. Because of this accident, I'm not able to work with the same capacity I was able to work. And here are the tax returns for the last 2 years I've worked to prove that my life has forever changed. So it just depends on the injury. It just depends on the circumstances. We have 2 years to file a lawsuit.
Very good information. Kendall actually wants to know, I'm starting law school at 38 years old. I would like to know, what some advice could you give me throughout my law school journey?
As far as law school is concerned, you want to concentrate on law school. At 38, you have a lot of different life things you have to deal with. You may have a family that you have to support. I'm sure you have to support yourself. But you want to buckle down and concentrate on the law. I don't recommend people go to law school part-time. I think you should fully engross yourself in the material, learn as much as you can. If you have to work, you have to be very disciplined. You have to get up and get your exercise in, get your work in, and study. It's going to be a lot of late nights and early mornings, but you can do it. A lot of us have done that.
Great information. Good luck, Kendall, in your pursuit.
Best of luck, Kendall.
Absolutely, in your pursuit of your law degree. Tammy would like to know, can you explain tort and full tort when involved in an accident in PA?
Yes. Well, this is the interesting thing. When we're dealing with full tort or limited tort, we're really dealing with a decision that you're making in the office of your insurance broker or your insurance agent in exchange for a cheaper insurance premium. The law in Pennsylvania allows for what's called limited tort, and it's just like it sounds. It limits your ability to sue for tort in a court of law, which means if you choose a limited tort option, your insurance rates will be cheaper every month or every 6 months or every year. Mm-hmm. But if you get involved in an accident, you cannot recover for pain and suffering unless you overcome what's called the limited tort threshold, which means you break a bone, you have to have stitches of some sort, you've suffered some type of permanent injury, versus full tort, which means you have the full ability to sue if someone hits you and you break a nail, or your back's just a little sore, or you miss a couple days from work and you have headaches, or you suffered a concussion. You can recover for any reason. There's no limit. I would suggest that everyone who's viewing this this live feed, they choose the full tort option. Why? Because the difference between a full tort premium per month and a limited tort premium per month is probably about $50 to $60. So one less night out, one less drink or two at happy hour, and you can sue fully for all of your pain and suffering if you're involved in an accident. And statistics say you will be involved in an accident at least once every 7 years.
Interesting. I kind of learned the hard way with that, and full tort all the way. Full tort. I don't care how much it costs now. Go for the full tort. Absolutely.
$50 or $60, folks.
Yeah, you can't. Go for it. Go for the full tort. Kendall actually says, what's an issue you face while starting your career in law, and how did you overcome it?
Well, there's many issues that you face in law. One is a highly competitive field, which means you're competing for jobs, you're competing for clients, you're competing for credibility amongst the judges and other lawyers you're working with. The way I think that you overcome any challenge is you want ultimate preparation. You have to be more prepared. You have to know your case better than your opponent. It's almost like sports, where the person who's the best prepared, the person who practiced the hardest, is normally the person that has the advantage. And so what I prided myself in doing is outworking the opponent on behalf of my client. I put myself in my client's shoes, and I say, what kind of person do I want representing me today? What type of person do I want representing the memory of my loved one?
Yes.
And it keeps me up at night. The cries of a mother, family members, keeps me up. And so the way I've overcome any challenges is just outwork anybody I'm working against to reach a common goal.
I love it. I love it. Guys, this feed is going to be up, obviously, after we finish going live. So feel free to ask any more questions, even after we're off air. Sam will be able to answer any questions as he is tagged in this. We have another question. If I was injured at work and I decided to sue, should I worry about my employment status with the company being affected if I continued working with them during the lawsuit?
Can you repeat that?
Sure.
Yeah.
If I was injured at work and I decided to sue, should I worry about my employment status with the company being affected if I continued working with them during the lawsuit?
Yes. If you are involved in a workplace accident, we call that workers' compensation, a workers' compensation claim. Sometimes in settlement of that claim, they may ask you to resign. And why they ask you to do that, I'm not 100% sure, but a lot of insurance companies will ask that in exchange for a lump sum payment from your injuries, to settle your injuries and your medical expenses, they will ask you to resign. It's probably so that because they feel your body may be compromised, you don't wind up coming back and having another claim later related to that same workplace injury. For instance, if you're an EMS worker or someone who works with a nurse or someone who works with injured or hurt people and your back goes out because you lifted them up, well, your back is compromised. So if you're in that situation again, although you may not be treating anymore and you settled your claim, you may have a reoccurring injury. So it could be affected, but don't let that deter you from doing what's right. If you're injured at work, the law does provide for your employer to compensate you for that, to pay your medical expenses, and if you're a professional at what you do, there's other opportunities with other companies out there. Absolutely. Don't let that deter you.
Absolutely. And Denise, feel free to reach out to Sam after the show. He's going to give his contact information. You may have a case, so feel free to reach out to him after this. This was great. I've learned some great information, and I hope you guys have as well. How can people get in contact with you again?
Sure. You can reach me via the web at samanyan.com. You can also reach me at 215-635-6901. You can also reach me via email at sam@samanyan.com.
Is there any last tips that you would like to give before we air off?
Yes. My last tip is everyone be your own advocate. If you've been wronged or someone has injured you as of no fault of your own, contact me. Contact a competent attorney. Have a discussion. Know your rights. There are remedies at law if something happens to you. I want everyone to be safe. On today, it's snowing outside. Be careful. And if something happens, please reach out. We're here to help you.
Absolutely. And yes, Ms. Helm, he is affiliate. He does practice in New Jersey. So New Jersey and Pennsylvania, if you are in these states and you need assistance, feel free to reach out to Sam. It's been a pleasure. You guys have a safe Saturday, and we will talk to you next month. Have a good one.
Take care.
Bye-bye.